Well, he's so much more than a lawnmower. Masport, the goat, is joining us. Standing here, of course, is his owner, Caro Brooking, and also we're joined by Sooty, the dog. We'll get to Sooty in a moment. Masport, the goat. He's acting like a Masport lawnmower just quietly. He's having a bit of grass. Where did you find him?
At the dog pound, of all places.
Really?
At Waitakere, yep. They've actually got a few more out there if anyone wants to actually adopt one.
Yeah.
But I went out there looking for a friend for Sooty and ended up coming back with a goat. So, not your usual story.
And what's the relationship between Masport and Sooty like? Do they get on?
They get on very well, yep. Sooty's been with Masport now for 2 years. And when I first got Masport, he would fit under Sooty. He was the size of a Jack Russell. So Sooty used to drag him around everywhere. So she became like honorary mum.
Excellent. Now, I understand Masport has traversed the countryside,
Yes.
swimming, surfing, in the bush. Where has he been?
Essentially anywhere from the furthest north we've been up to is Bay of Islands, all the way down the coast, Mangawhai, Te Aro Point, down as far as Krangaheki Gorge, Waihi Mine, and Cathedral Cove.
And what's sort of the reaction when people see you with the goat?
The usual comment is that a goat? And
Clearly it is.
Clearly it is. But most people tend to think he's some sort of strange dog until they get close.
Yeah. Now, I understand you're based here in Herne Bay.
Yes.
Where does he reside? Does he reside inside with you, or have you got a little space on the lawn?
That would be very strange if he was in the house with me. But no, he's outside in the yard. We've got about an acre, and he's on what I call a swing mooring.
Okay. What's that?
It's essentially like a boat. You have a block, and then he's got a long lead that takes him right around the property, so he's got the whole acre to basically munch away.
Okay. Speaking of munch, what sort of food does he like?
Absolutely anything.
Yeah.
The only thing he can't eat is onion and avocado.
Okay.
Apart from that, everything else is on the menu.
I see behind you that you've bought a bit of kai for...
Yes.
So I'll just wait there for a second, I'll grab it. We've got some carrots, apples, bananas.
Yes.
So these are some of his favourites?
Would you like to feed him?
I'll feed him, mate. Just a second. You want to hold the microphone?
I can indeed.
Here we go. He's not going to bite my hand, is he?
No, he's only got teeth on the bottom. He's like an old person. He's all gummy on the top.
Okay, I'm just going to get some carrot. Here we go, Masport.
So you have to hold it for him.
Yeah.
Because he needs to break
there we
it
go.
off.
You just took it off me.
Well, in this case, not.
Can anyone have a goat?
Pretty much. The Auckland City Council, I rang them.
Yep.
Especially because I already had Sooty, so I needed to check that I could get another animal. And they had to come back to me because no one's asked about whether or not they could have a goat in the city. And apparently there's no bylaws that say that you're not allowed to.
Now, also a special point we should mention is this. He's just not any goat. He's an indigenous goat from Arapawa, is it?
Yeah. When Captain Cook came over in the 1770s, he brought over a couple of goats. His ancestors, they're a breed that were dying out in the UK and they're now since extinct. And anyhow, he left 2 of them on Arapawa Island.
Yep.
And they bred and grew strong and happy. And in the 1970s, Doc decided to cull the island, thinking that they were all just standard feral goats. And a lady called Betty Rose saved 5 of them. I think it was 5.
Yep.
And Masport is one of the descendants. And it was only at that point that they realised that he's actually a rare breed.
Okay. So when you say rare, there's only 300 in the world?
He's only one of around 300 left in the world.
Wow. So he's pretty special, isn't he?
Boy. The only thing is, at the dog pound, they didn't know that. Had I known that, I would have never had him denacred, because he could have been part of the breeding program. But
Which leads to my next question. How did he end up in the dog pound?
Apparently, this is a story that I was told by the lady there. He wandered onto an Angora farm out Bethel's Way, and the farmer, rather than shooting him and eating him, which is what most people, including Cameron, would probably like to do, decided
We'll keep him away from Cameron,
yes,
the hunter
exactly.
and gatherer.
Yep.
Keep him in the kitchen.
Decided to bring him to the dog pound and surrender him. And unfortunately, because he's a boy, not a lot of people wanted him.
Right.
So he was destined to be put down, and it just so happens that Sooty and I turned up.
I'll tell you what, he's a very lucky goat this morning. He's had a carrot, a banana, a persimmon, a kiwi fruit, and an apple. Let's just give you that.
Do you want to feed him the banana?
I'll feed him the banana. The whole thing, as opposed to I was nice and peeled the skin for him.
There
you go, you have the whole thing. What about the reaction when you take him for a swim? Do the council, do they growl you?
No. He's like anything, you've got to be a responsible pet owner. When I first got Masport, though, I didn't know anything about goats.
Yep.
And essentially, he's just like a cow. He does a lot of grass eating.
Yep.
And unfortunately, because of that, he gets quite gassy. So when he first tried to swim, he sunk, essentially. His head went underwater and his butt was floating.
Okay.
So he had to learn to swim using Sooty's life jacket.
Okay. look, he's a hungry goat today.
He is,
and
Matai.
speaking of Sooty, Sooty's been sort of standing in the background.
Oh yeah, she's into bananas.
She's into bananas. Oh, sorry, there's no... What about banana skin? No,
Not
possibly
the skin.
not. And you've also got Jimmy the cat who isn't here today. So what's the
No,
relationship
no.
between these three like?
Interesting. Essentially,
answer.
Jimmy likes Masport. He likes all creatures.
Yeah.
But Masport's not 100% keen on Jimmy since last winter.
Yeah.
Masport during winter time, he'll get a really thick coat. He ends up about a metre
Oh, look at
wide.
that. Sorry.
Oh yeah, you got to hold it just like a child. You know how they would eat an apple?
Won't eat my finger, will he?
No, you won't. See? He's got really nice
Oh, we
teeth.
dropped it. There we
It's
go.
all right. You'll
Hey,
focus
Caro,
on it.
it's been wonderful to have Masport, City and yourself here today. We'll give him that skin.
You'll eat that too.
And thanks for joining us. Awesome.
Thank you, Matai.
Thank you so much. All right, back to you.